Hello, good evening. How's everyone doing? Pretty ugly day in legacy markets. Not, and a pretty nasty day in crypto, but certainly not as bad as we've seen in some stock indexes. Sometimes when we see risk off or massive risk off in stock indexes, and we see this particularly in Asian trading, sometimes we see follow-on selling in Bitcoin. I think that used to be when you used to be able to trade Chinese stocks as well as or Asian stocks as well as crypto, and if your stocks sell off a lot, you have to increase the amount of margin that you pay to hold them. And we would see stock market sell off and then people selling Bitcoin, I think, to cover their margin payments. I'm not sure. We're kind of teetering on the edge. I'm going to hide let's hide all these fib levels, all these fib lines at the moment, and just look at it, because in Elliott Wave they say that you stop going out when you fall up out of a channel. So we've drawn this initially as a kind of rising wedge pattern, and this looks like if we draw it like this does look like a breakdown retest. But for me, one of the first rules when I draw a rising wedge pattern like this, or the first place that I expect it to find support, is the parallel channel. So because in Elliott Wave they can say as long as you stay within a parallel channel, even though you have overthrows, and so overthrows would be, if we draw it like this, say from this first high here, this is an overthrow, this is an overthrow, but we're still in the channel. So if we do it like this and we say where's our parallel line, and we kind of fiddle with it a bit, then technically we haven't quite broken down out of our equal channel. So really, until we make new lows, this is just bearish consolidation. The futures are a little bit more helpful because the futures had a bit of a head and shoulders pattern. If we take a look at that, we can see, but again, in our head and shoulders pattern, we haven't quite broken this neckline. Here's the left shoulder. I put Heikenhashi on, it's easier to see. And we'll hide these. Here's our left shoulder, head, right shoulder. This is the neckline. We're still perched on the neckline. So I'm going to lean towards, it looks pretty ugly today. It was a big bearish engulfing day. If we put regular candles on, we've engulfed a couple of days previous prices, but we haven't quite rolled over. So all the time we are underneath 10,000, I'm going to stay bearish, and this is the reason why. Let's go back and look at a crypto chart. So let's look at Bitstamp. I like Bitstamp because they have the best history. And if we go down to 4 hour, you can see here that this double top that we had over the weekend was just at that 10,000 level. And if we mark where that 10,000 level is, and we go to a daily, you can see that it's been quite support and resistance before. So here it is. We'll just do it roughly. I can't. There we go. 9999. That's good enough. Look how many times we have tested this 10,000 level, gone the other side, and then closed back above it. Support, support, resistance, resistance. Like so many times back here last summer, and then on the big rally that we had in October. And so I kind of feel like, maybe this was a bit of an anomaly when we went beyond it. And normally the pattern you see when you go beyond a level that you shouldn't have is you'll see that head and shoulders pattern exactly as we've got it in the futures market. So I'm leaning towards a breakdown. If you count this as a bearish rising wedge, we should continue lower from here. What would be our confirmation that we're going lower? Well, I'm going to put fibs back on. Say this is the 236 fib that we're perched on here at Bitstamp. That's at 95.34. A daily close below 95.34 would be a breakdown for me, and I'm looking for 50% back from here, which would be 8462. The reason I'm looking for 50% back is if I put my fibs on this way, we reverse to their 50% level. Normally, mean reverting markets tend to mean revert. So if we rally 50%, we could, if we break down, we haven't broken down yet, but if we break down, we'll come back 50%. So those are my parameters. I've actually got out of most of my Bitcoin. for this reason. I think that there is quite a risk that we do this bigger leg lower if we close below 95.34. I know we've tested it. How many times we've been on top of it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9th day. So it's been pretty good support. It was resistance here. It is, you know, so it's not over till it's over. And on lower time frames, by that I mean the 15-minute, I'm starting to see some hidden bullish divergence. So we could bounce here, but below 95.34. Now that's the Bitstamp price. Let's go to, if we look at the Deribit, they combine the prices of 8 different exchanges by volume. So we'll use that and see. Here it's 95.77. If we look at Coinbase, that price, it's the 236 fib anyway from the December low. If we look at Coinbase, then let's tidy up this chart. And then we're going to say that our support, 95.56. So they're all pretty close for a change. But that's the level that I'm looking at to hold. And if it doesn't, then we're going to correct this whole big rally. And we're probably looking at 50% back or towards these lows. These lows are the last 5-wave rally here. So that would be between the 50 and the 61.8. And that would make sense if we count this as a wave 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Back to this previous wave 4, which is around 8,200, would be a good level to look for. I know that's not what everybody wants, you know, but not everybody was in on this rally. And we kind of need to come back for people so that they'll jump in. So that's how I'm seeing Bitcoin. So if nobody's got any questions about Bitcoin, I'm going to move on and look at Bitcoin dominance. I'm just loading up my comments now. 1 second. There we go. Sorted that out. Okay. Dead says he's technically not worried yet. Does that mean you're technically not dead yet? Or, okay. Hi, anyway. Welcome to the channel. Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody. Hi, hi. Yes, we can. Hello, Connor. We'll add waves to the end. Good to see you. Okay, so I'm going to talk about ETHBTC next because that, not ETHBTC, but Bitcoin dominance and Ethereum against Bitcoin, because Ethereum against Bitcoin has been a really reliable alt season indicator. When Ethereum is going up against Bitcoin, then alts tend to have the last laugh and do outperform Bitcoin. And that's what we've seen. However, and Bitcoin dominance we've seen come off while that's been happening since basically this started in September. If we look at our ETHBTC indicator, which is back here, I'll show you that in a minute. I think technically we're at a level there here. So if I draw my fibs from the lows that we made in January 2018, here we've got a big 5-wave rally. This last was in 5 waves. It all looks very good. And we were looking for a big 3-wave correction. And our first technically support level comes in at the 236 fib, which is at 61.929. So this is a weekly chart. We had a bullish hammer off this level 2 weeks ago. Last week we had a little bullish inside bar, and so we're holding this support level, and we're holding pretty nicely above this fib level and looking for a rally. Now, I see that we're going sideways. The last 5 days of this correction we've been going sideways, but to me Bitcoin looks all set to rally from here. So I think we could see a season or I think that we could see a period where alt season is over, Bitcoin starts to outperform, and Bitcoin will outperform ETH and all of the others as well. And it's like water sloshing around in a bath. If Bitcoin starts doing better than everything else, everybody piles into Bitcoin. So in Bitcoin dominance, I think potentially we're at one of those levels. I would change my mind and say, you know what, no, Bitcoin's going to fall much further if we close below 62.07. But for now, that says to me that we are coming into a period of Bitcoin strength potentially. And if we take a look at our ETHBTC indicator, now we've gotten a little toppy. This is a daily chart, and really since the middle of Valentine's Day, we've gone a little bit toppy. And where are we? We're at, if we measure this leg here, from this low to the high in September, and we project it from this low, we're at 1.618. So the 1.618 extension of this swing, that's very common in a wave 3. So that suggests that this might be a big wave 3. So we've gone 1, 2, 3, and now we're going to have a pullback. The most common pullback of a wave 3 is a 38.2 retrace. So if we mark where that is, that would be back here to about 0.02398. Okay, and it would normally be like 3 waves. So if we look at how long, I think that this wave 2 took a very long time. I wouldn't expect a wave 4 to do the same, but it may be that we stop outperforming and we go choppy and sideways for a bit, and Bitcoin does outperform. Now, it may be that I've counted this wrong. I'm not the world's greatest Elliott wave counter, and it may be that this is our wave 1, 2, and this is our wave 3 just finished, and so what we're doing here is wave 4 of this wave that started here on the 8th of January. And if that's the case, then wave 2 took us 11 days. And so far we've spent 7 days. So one more push lower maybe, and maybe I'm wrong and we don't see such a big correction here. If that's true, then we'll hold on this. We won't close below this 236 fib level from the yearly low to high, and then we'll carry on from here. And that would be very good for alts. But just a little bit of a nervous area here. So maybe a time to ease off on the gas a bit on the alts and have a bit more in Bitcoin. Okay, so having looked at ETH that way, let's see if we're at what our parameters are for where we're going next in Ethereum. And you know, I've got the Deribit chart here. This is 8 different combined prices. We've had a very, very messy go here at this 61.8 fib. You do sometimes see that when you go back and forward through the fib level, but we've basically got a sideways range or potentially a triangle. A triangle or a wedge would be good, because that's what you see in a wave 4 very often. So this would be 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we'll have another leg higher, that happy days. So where would be the support? Well, when you stop at a 61.8 fib level, if we break down here, then the 50% level in the middle acts as a pivot. And if that breaks, so if 240.4 breaks, we're going to drop to 211. But otherwise, if this is just a way forward, it's taking a little bit longer than I would like, but that's all it is, then we'll just dip down here, and then hopefully we won't dip that far. We'll stay within the triangle and carry on higher. So I'm kind of open to, you know, for me, this, until we break this down and not just this wedge, but we break this 240 level, we haven't really topped out in ETH either. We're just consolidating sideways. So technically not a big bearish reversal in Bitcoin, and technically not a big bearish reversal yet in ETH, although I do think that Bitcoin may be about to outperform. So what about some of the other big alts that are good leading indicators? Let's take a look at Litecoin, which is usually a very good leading indicator, and that's in a messy place. So I think we can definitely count 5 waves up in Litecoin. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we've got an ABC back, but it may just be that this is just the A leg of a bigger ABC. Very messy 38.2 fib, that's normal. If we lose this 20 moving average here, I'm looking for a move back to 62.29 for support. If we look at it on a 4-hour time frame, it's really kind of not very, we've gone into a very tight, narrow sideways range here. This is a horizontal low. Here's a horizontal high. So I think we can say in Litecoin, if we break 68s, we're going to find support, hopefully. somewhere around 61, maybe a little bit lower, but this would then be a big ABC correction, and if we measure it, it should line up if we're doing it right. Let's see. 63.53, maybe not that low. Okay, that'll be good. So support between 61 and 63 then, I think, for Litecoin. If we drop a little bit lower, and then below there, you know, we've definitely got a bigger bearish reversal going on. But if we break these highs here at 80, then I would say the next leg higher is underway. And you know, I'm not every technical analyst likes to see head and shoulders patterns anywhere except absolute lows. I believe in continuation ones, so we could, you know, see something like this here. So a bit of a shallow pullback for one, but you know, I'm open to us going either way from this sideways range and bunched up moving averages. So either back to 62, 63, or a break above 80 would indicate that we're on our way higher again for Litecoin. So it's not really helping us very much at all, is it? Some of the others that are less bullish. This is Bitcoin Cash against Bitcoin. We'll look at it against the US dollar in a minute. You know, in terms of our moving averages, we're stuck in between the 20 and the 50, going sideways. You know, for me though, we've really only had, when I look at this, one drop. So here's our A, and we're struggling with a B. I think that there's more downside to come, and especially while we hold underneath these daily moving averages against BCH Bitcoin. So that means I think that Bitcoin again is about to outperform. But if we look at this against the dollar, or if we look at it against Tether, it's not quite as awful as it looks, you know. And this is just a 38.2 retrace, daily 50 fib, a pretty good level for us to rally from. My problem is when I go back and I measure from the December 2018 lows, like low to high like this looks like a big kind of corrective ABC. And what I don't like is this is the second time we failed at this big 236 fib. So I'm now going to be looking for these legs to have a relationship. And I think Bitcoin Cash against the US dollar, after failing here, has further to fall. And the first place I'd look is here, back to the 200 moving average in Bitcoin Cash US dollar, and this where this swing is going to be 61.8 of this swing, which is at 282. So further, I'm expecting at some point, either after a bounce or you know, because we could make a big bear flag here, but this would be the level that I'm looking to buy from in Bitcoin Cash US dollar for the next swing. So sorry, that's not very good news. Big bearish on engulfing day. If you're still holding some and this daily 50 moving average goes, or we close kind of below 360, I would definitely consider lightening up your bag a bit and moving into something else. So sorry. BSV, Bitcoin Cash SV. This one's leading the way. This is gonna, I think this is the one that goes to halving first, doesn't it? Because Bitcoin Cash has its halving first, SV has its halving first. Maybe I've got it the wrong way around. And then Bitcoin and BCH. You do need to be aware of those dates. Stuff could happen. Now, I'd like to see this. We're looking at the daily chart of Bitcoin Cash SV against Tether. I'd like to see this as a big bullish pennant, like this. I feel that looks a bit steep, doesn't it? If we were going to do it as a pennant, we'd have another kind of leg, like 1, 2, 3, and then, you know. Clearly, though, this daily 50 moving average is pretty good support and a place to rally from. But again, let's measure and see. I don't think we've done enough. Yeah, a little bit lower. So we're looking towards more towards these horizontal support. That would give us the sort of this leg being 61.8 of the first leg in a better place, I think, for this correction. If we look again at this as a 5 wave, so 1, 2, 3, and this is wave 4, then where would that fib retrace take us back to? We are hanging around that 50%, aren't we? You know, I'm going to say this is probably a decent support zone for Bitcoin Cash SV, but no price action to support a reversal yet. So, yeah, I think we have to wait. And the risk is, unless we see some bullish price action, if we lose 266 again, we could go back to 246 and potentially, look where the 200 moving average is in this one. It's all the way down here. So just in case this level doesn't hold, I really wouldn't ride it down. So if we rally from here, happy days. If we get above the 20 moving average or back above 300, that would be a very bullish sign for this, and I would be looking for another leg higher for sure in this one. But for now, I'd kind of leave this one alone. Ethereum Classic also had so much promise. What happened in Ethereum Classic? Let's go to the daily. This is another one where we got all the way to the 50% and reversed. And this is the 50% in Ethereum Classic Tether from this high to this low down here. I should probably put it here. It's a big 50% anyway. And having reversed here, the potential is, having reversed here and then gone beyond the 236, that we're looking for 50% back of the whole rally. So 50% back of the whole rally. We didn't quite tag it. How frustrating is that? So close, but we didn't quite tag it. So I would look for a retest, another swing lower in Ethereum Classic to retest 8.24. And this kind of previous wave 4, I think it's a pretty good support level. And if I was, and we could see count 5 down then, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So still looking for one more low in Ethereum Classic against Tether. Sorry, that's not better news as well. Let's see how. Yeah. So this is where I think we're coming to. But in Ethereum Classic Tether, if we get above 10, is it 10 even? 10.02, then from here, especially if we rallied from here, we would have that look of an inverted head and shoulders pattern, wouldn't we? And so that would say I'm wrong, and that would be your long entry. So either look for a break above 10 or a pullback to 8.243 and one more low for Ethereum Classic Tether. Let's see Bitcoin. Oh, it's a very similar pattern, isn't it? So, oops. Got all my drawing things going crazy. Here we go. We also at that. Yeah, we're kind of hanging around that 50% level here as well, aren't we? Just haven't got quite the bullish price action yet. But you know, if we were to rally here and do the same thing, then we would have our inverted head and shoulders bottom here as well against Bitcoin. And above 10,172 it looks like. So that would be a good sign, wouldn't it? So watch, see if we can do that. And then, you know, have a go. Remember though, this rule about 50% back. So if the highs were 50% and this pullback is 50%, when you buy Ethereum Classic against Bitcoin or Tether, your first trouble area where the party could end is this 50% level, which is where our 4-hour 20 moving average is. So that would be your first target on a long, and that would be the level you would need to overcome to break the pattern. So otherwise you just come 50% anyway until it ends. So Ethereum Classic Bitcoin potentially making a Ethereum Classic against the dollar as well, potentially making a bottom above 10 against the US dollar or 10,150 against Bitcoin. Could be a bullish reversal for Ethereum Classic, one to watch anyway. Okay, I think I'm completely here we go. The next one we're going to be looking for is Ripple. Let's see Ripple. I had so much this is Ripple Tether, but then we'll go look at Bitcoin in a minute. And I put my fibs on from this high up here to this low, and I had so much hope 2 weeks ago when we closed above this 236 fib level, especially when I looked left and it was such good support and resistance, and I thought, yeah, we've smashed it. And so whenever you do that, you will say, okay, let's get above, and then we'll buy the pullback retest. And it was messy and up, we weren't new high. I was like, yeah, we're winning, and then crashed all the way back through. Like, it likes to break hearts, this one. And this is starting to look like, unfortunately, in Ripple Tether, starting to look like a little bit of a head and shoulders pattern, a bit like the Bitcoin futures, bit of a messy neckline. We could maybe say it's a little bit of a sloping neckline. I don't mind them as long as they don't slope too much. This 4-hour 200 moving average is it though, isn't it? And if you prefer horizontal levels, we'll look for a fib retrace level that would put us close. I haven't done this quite well. This 50% level, I think, below there would definitely confirm our breakdown, 0.2608. But remember the rule of these head and shoulders patterns. If you break the neckline, you go twice the distance. So if we say it's from here to here, and then that's our breakdown level, I'm going to be conservative, then we're looking for, that would give us a massive sort of 886 retrace and 0.019. So make sure this, don't ride it all the way down. If we can't hold 0.026, we've got a long way to fall in this Ripple Tether. Let's take a look at Ripple Bitcoin, see if there's any more joy, or if it's going to tell us we're wrong. It's not quite the same head and shoulders pattern, is it? But let's start with the daily. The thing is with these daily moving averages, they can be support and resistance, especially this 200 moving average. But if we were going to find support and rally off it, we should have done it here a week ago on the 17th, 18th, and we didn't. Not only that, but once we fell underneath it, it became resistance again. So we're not really in that happy bullish place yet, unfortunately. In fact, for me, with these flat moving averages on the daily, there's really no trend here. So you almost think, well, we're at risk really of a retest of the lows. I could see 2,800, which is a bit of a, if we go all the way left here, look, it is a kind of okay support and resistance level here. Support, resistance here, here maybe, and certainly here. So, but looks like we're underneath this level today. So 2803. So I think if we hold underneath 2803, which we've just broken here on the hourly, and it becomes resistance, we're back to retest the lows in Ripple, and I probably wouldn't stay on the bus. So 2803, I really do need to recover that by the end of the day or the end of the week if we've got a chance of going higher. So I'm not feeling it for Ripple tonight, sorry. ADA. I did have high hopes for ADA. Let's have a clean up of our charts here. Because we made an amazing base, didn't we? Triple bottom, really perfect triple bottom, around 400. And we had this sideways range going on. I'm just going to move this up here. We had this sideways range going on in ADA that we broke out of. We really never came back and retested it. I feel like we're due to come back and retest it. And I'm looking for support here, and then we carry on higher to our first target, our first fib target, which is 770. So, a little bit of sideways. I feel like if I looked at this on the 4-hour, this is going to look like another, I know, head and shoulders pattern. So, there's a few of them about. And that would mean instead of just, if we broke this, if this was a head and shoulders pattern, instead of just retesting this prior highs, we could potentially fall further than that and twice the distance of this pattern. So again, you don't really want to be riding the ADA bus if we fall below that neckline. And we're going to call that next line 582. We'll give it a bit of room and give it a little bit lower than that 38.2 fib. But I think an early warning would be really here. This is looking a little bear flaggy, isn't it? So ADA below 582, we could see a much bigger drop to 500. Otherwise, this sort of 582 area could be pretty good support. I'm not sure we've done enough of a correction. That's the problem. Let's see if ADA US dollar has any more joy. I don't think so. Well, the good thing about this is it's not a head and shoulders pattern, is it? So that's some good news. It is a little bit toppy though, and back to our kind of support. We've got some support here, obviously, from these highs. But if we lose that this is probably where we're looking. Again, in ADA Tether, this was a reversal at a 50% retrace. We went beyond it a little bit, but it counts as a 50%. So that means that we really should be looking for 50% back here. That's just how it tends to work if we lose the 236 fib. So, which we have here at 6240. So we're looking for another leg lower in ADA Tether and 0.05132 for the next support. So not time to buy yet. Put an alarm down here. Let it know when it's come back there. So that's ADA. Just gonna have a quick drink. None of these alts look terribly good, do they? Okay. XMR, Monero. Now Monero is one of those coins that tends to do well when not much else is doing well. And this was one I got really excited about. I thought, oh, declining wedge. We'll connect these highs like this. These highs, is this a breakout and a retest? It could be, but when I connect these lows, this low and this low, and I make it into a parallel channel, which is very often where you'll hit trouble when you break out of what you think is a declining wedge. So I'm not convinced as well that we're on our way up again. So let's take the trend lines away, see if there's another way to see where we are. So if we take this as our last major five-way swing lower before a correction, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we've had ABC up, that makes it look a bit bearish. But in terms of harmonic patterns, and what did we do? We stopped at the 38.2. Very often when you do that, you'll see a deep retrace, like an 886, if this backtest of the 236 doesn't hold you. So I would expect a deep retrace, I'm afraid, if we lose 81.42 again, or this a little bit lower, this kind of horizontal support that we seem to be on, and back to the 200 moving average. And then we should see some support, but yeah, this 38.2, I'm afraid, is not terribly, let's see. One more. Say this was a wave one. This kind of was 1.618, so maybe we'll use that. So maybe 38.2 this way is all we come and then we rally from. So yeah, 50% back, as I think if we can maybe see 78.25 hold, or if we measure the legs this way, where would that 618 be? Yeah, it lines up there, doesn't it? Exactly. At that 50% back. So 7825 in Monero Bitcoin could be really good support for the next swing, but a little bit further to fall, I feel, in this one for now. And I don't think Monero US dollar is any trendier at the moment. Here in the daily, we've definitely rolled over. Our moving averages are starting to flatten out. maybe a little bit further to fall in this one. This here was a 61.8. Let's make these darker. And this one darker. Because in Monero Tether, between the 61.8 and the 38.2 is considered the golden ratio zone. And the 50% level in the middle is the pivot level. So if you foul at it, you go back to the bottom, and if you get above it, it should hold and you go back to the top. And if we break this 38.2, which is at 77.35, we're going to drop down to this 236 fib next, which is at 66.89. So if you've bought some and you're kind of swinging it, I would not want to see another close below 77.35. I then think we're going to see that, bigger dip down to 66.89. So otherwise, this is, just like a lot of stuff, a great place for it to bounce from. We've only just got here. We've got a tiny little green starting on the 4 hour. So yeah, 77.32 then. See if we can find support here. But if we lose 77.32, watch out. 66 is coming for Monero Tether. Okay, UBQ. This is one nobody asked for, but I put in. And I put it in because it's such a messy chart. But this chart did a very nice head and shoulders pattern bottom here. And it hit the target for the head and shoulders pattern and the top of the range. Everything was really good. And I feel like we may have done our, we may be finished here. And if that's the case, because we've gotten above the 200 moving average, this is where we would be looking for it to find support and relaunch higher in UBQ. This is UBQ Bitcoin. So this is our important support level. I'm going to put real candles on, because if we look at the daily and see what we did, we had a great rally off it. Now, again, remember we just talked about that 618, 38.2. Let me tidy up this chart and hide these for a second. This is a 61.8. There's a 38.2 target first, top of the range. And where we are at is this 50% level, pivot level in the middle. So if we continue above 1,028, we should go to 1105, and that would be our bullish reversal for UBQ Bitcoin. So that's what I'm looking for here. And I look at this, it's got quite a nice bottomy, doubly bottomy pattern going on. And I'm looking for it to move above that level at 1028. And if we can, I think that next leg higher could be underway for UBQ. But there's a few and far, bullish setups between them. I've got as you can see, an alert up there. Hasn't gone off yet. Hopefully it doesn't go off on everyone's headphones now. So UBQ is one. It's not QTOM, it's UBQ. That's why I'm looking at that one. Hopefully. Retest of the 200-day moving average, etc. Next one I'm going to look at, requested, was Tron TRX. Tron had so much promise, didn't it? When I put my big fibs on, I put it from this, normally, and have a big ABC or what you think is, I put it on from this high. So maybe that 236 fib was too much to ask. Perhaps we should be looking at this lower one, but either way, we're not quite there yet. We've got rejected at these lows from back in 2018, and we've not come back now again, just a bit like UBQ, but not quite back to the 200 moving average. So we're retracing, trying to find some support from these daily moving averages and turn higher again. Because this is 5 waves up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you really want to see 3 waves of correction. It's very hard to see here on the daily, but potentially this could be it, or potentially not. If it is it, we should double bottom, or hold these lows and then break the highs, and then breaking the highs again would be our long entry. If we don't and we break down, then this becomes a bigger reversal, and we should look a bit further to the 200 moving average. And if not, let's measure this. Because it's not perfect, This could just be an ABC correction. So ABC, a zigzag where we have triples. So 5 ways up, 5 ways back, 5 way. And in that case, they very often retrace to the 786, which would mean all the way. Let's do it from the lows to the highs. Okay. One more lower. Which would mean down here to 162. At the moment, we look pretty stable around this 50% back, don't we? At 199, 200. So we could find support here from rally, but if we don't, I think that we risk a bigger fall, to be honest, in Tron. So let's see if we can hold this 50% level, 199, or the 200 moving average at 191. And below there, I would look out because I think it'll be 162. So that's Tron Bitcoin. I think we should be, if we're at a support level in Tron Bitcoin, we should be in Tron Tether. It's a little bit no man's landy, isn't it? In between these daily moving averages when they're going sideways. Let me take that away. No, oops, didn't want to do that. Let's try this. Okay. Yeah, you know, we're holding a big 50% retrace level here. We could make a nice double bottom and rally from here in Tron US dollar. Let's see on the retest of these lows if they hold. If they do, then this would be your long entry. If they don't, you're looking for lower end 17.25 and beyond. So I wouldn't hang on to too much if it went below 1906. Let's put it that way. You know, I don't mind a swing failure pattern, marginal new low, and then, you know, rapid bounce and we don't close below. But there's 50, yeah, that would be kind of all as much as I would allow it if I was still holding some. So not such happy news for TRX. Let's see if VChain or VET is bearing any better. I'm afraid. Let's go to the daily. Had a lot of promise this one. I really like, let's take these away. I really liked the shape of this bottom here at the 61.8. I felt like it was a inverted head and shoulders pattern, and I don't feel like we quite met the target. You know, we should have gone beyond it, but where we are stuck is, again, in between that 61.8 38.2 zone. So this is it, between there and here, our golden ratio zone. The neckline from before is also important support and resistance and a bit of a pivot level. So we're going to call that our bull bear line at 72 in VChain Bitcoin. So below 72 we're going to be bears, and above 72s we're going to be bullish. Where are we? Kind of, look, it behaved so well here before. Perfect, perfect, perfect. And today it's just turned into a mess. I'm afraid while we're back underneath it, I'm not feeling terribly bullish. And I think it's just sideways. I'd really like a better sign, you know. A close above 72 with a regular candle would be a good sign. This is just a little bit of a chop zone at the moment. Sorry about that. And whilst we're underneath it, of course, we risk going back down to this 61.8 level. So maybe a bigger, if this was a small head and shoulders, maybe we're going to see a bigger one like this. Left shoulder, head, right shoulder if we could rally. That would be good, but no guarantee unless we get back above 72. So that's VChain Bitcoin. So let's chart clean up. Here in VChain US dollar, we've really got the same issue, haven't we? 60.8, 38.2, chop zone. And we've been in it quite a while, if we look at it this way, haven't we? Thought we'd broken out, but we hadn't. And here's our sideways zone. So I haven't got the 50% on this time. We're back underneath it today. So what's interesting about this golden ratio zone, sometimes it goes down to the 236 and it is here. But I would say first support would be 5951 and then only if that breaks 4759. But sideways chop zone for VChain, not, you know, at the very least I would say probably another leg lower to come. So Komodo. Komodo is one of my favourites, but it hasn't been behaving very well lately. Let's start with the daily chart. Now, there's a sort of harmonic pattern rule, okay? So let's take that away here. So from this high to this low, we reversed at the 786 fib. Perfect. When you reverse at a 786 fib, your first target is the 38.2, which we tried to bounce from, but that 50 pivot levels got us stuck, and we're still underneath it. And your second target is the 236 fib. So we can say that if we lose this 38.2 level, our next support is down here at the 236 fib. Also, a very good, if we look left, support and resistance level. There it is, sort of around there. So below 0.7135, if we can't hold it, we're going to drop to 0.62, really, 0.618, 0.62. And not ready to go yet, we'll call it. Now, here on the lower time frames, you can see it. We do look like we've got some buyers here. First signs of some buyers. On a 15-minute, we can probably see them. So I'm not saying that we will necessarily lose this level. And if we did, if we woke up in the morning and we were underneath it, I would say if we fell on the retest, that would be your exit. But if we lose it, then 0.62 is where we go in Komodo US dollar. So Komodo Bitcoin, we'll see the same. Daily, here we go, mass. I actually like this chart a bit better because obviously I like this back test of the 200 moving average. What I also like, you know, whenever you get your moving averages all bunched up together, you get a really powerful move usually when you break out from them. The problem is you don't want it to be breaking down. Does this look like a head and shoulders pattern like all of the other alts? With a double top head? Nah, probably not, but you wouldn't want to lose this support level, would you? Really? So yeah, we could, it's not very balanced for me, but I think that this is probably quite important support at 725 here. Let's go back to the daily. I really don't see anything tempting me to buy this yet, you know. If we broke the other way, yeah, if you see this, so if this becomes a little bit of a wedge, I would definitely be interested if we broke. See, I don't like, yeah, this is, yeah, that would do right. Problem would be if this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If we don't break here, if we do this again and we can't break out, I would watch out because it'll probably go lower. So I'm neutral, Komodo. Sorry. I think it's going sideways with Bitcoin, which might mean lower. Okay, next one is, to move that out of the way, EOS. EOS was quite exciting for a little bit, wasn't it? But then here's EOS Bitcoin. Sometimes though, the more excitement, the harder they fall, and that's kind of how I feel with this one. EOS Bitcoin has taken really a proper beating since the middle of February. Very hard fall in this one. much harder than I expected. We almost tagged the 200 moving average. I think I would like to see what happens here on a retest of these lows. But we really can't call this trending at the moment. I think this is going to need a bit more time to sort out, and I feel, yeah, certainly not after today, not ready to. I was a little bit hopeful that we might be creeping our way back up, but today's reversal sets up a retest of the lows for EOS, and so I would hold back until that happens. Let's see the EOS US dollar chart and see if it is any better. Okay, so this makes a bit more sense, doesn't it? Because let's unlock this. So in EOS Tether, if we put our fibs on from the May highs to the lows we made in December, our reversal was at a textbook 50%, which was here. And we've come back 50%, which is down here. So we're kind of coiling up. We've rallied. Have we rallied 50% yet? Probably not, which makes me think we might see another leg up, okay? Because let's go to a 4-hour. Okay. So from this low, the 50% was here, perfect. So it looks like, you know, after 5 waves down, we should go A, B, C. So I wouldn't be surprised if we then go 50% up from here. So I wouldn't be surprised to see a bounce in EOS dollar, but I'm not going to get excitedly bullish yet. So we would then rally 50 from here, 50% up, back to these highs, back to this 50% level, and then see what happens there. But then, you know, it's bunching up all the moving averages. It's bunched up between the daily moving averages, which are flat. That's not a trend. We need a breakout. So back above this 50% level, that would be a breakout. That would be looking, we'd be looking higher from here. I've done that really badly. Otherwise, we're at risk of another low, I'm afraid, in this one. So, yeah. In a correction still in EOS Tether. Watch for a retest of these lows to hold, or a higher low for one more swing up, back to 4.64, and then see what happens there. I would, above there, back to the highs and next leg up, I would think. I would be trading it that way anyway. Okay, not much to get our teeth into in EOS, is there? Let's see basic attention token. This is a coin I really like. Behaves well normally. Let's tidy up our whole chart and start again. So where are we? Well, let's go to the weekly because it's a bit messy. And I find sometimes if I can't quite see it clearly, the weekly will help me. And this weekly is a little bit, I don't like this reversal because it has the look of an ABC correction, you know, because which would mean a big leg lower, ABC, and then another leg lower, especially when, you know, we haven't, from this high to, how far did we get? The 38.2. It's not quite the big bullish reversal you want to see. I feel like this is setting us up for a retest of the lows. And if we measure this like this, yeah, didn't close above that even on the daily. It looks a bit like an equal measured move. So if this pivot level, again, this is all of them, funky looking head and shoulders patterns, but if this breaks down, or if we break below 0.242 in basic attention token, I think that that would be our next leg lower and confirm the reversal. If not, this should be very good support, and if we're going to carry on higher, that's what I would look for. I mean, this was almost a double bottom. So really, when we broke these highs, you know, we should have kept going and gone twice this range, but it wasn't to be. was it? So back to the bottom of the range, I think, if we lose 0.242 in basic attention token dollar, and if we look at basic attention token Bitcoin, okay, so this first rally that we had stalled at the 236, so from the highs to the lows, the 236 fib is like your Fibonacci trend resistance. So on the daily, you really, unless you can overcome that 236 fib level, you're really still in a downtrend. And if we look left, there was very good support and resistance level at this. You know, whatever happened the first time we came back to this level, we were going to have trouble. What I'm hoping, because I feel like we've done an ABC correction back, what I was hoping is we would make a base and have another challenge at this 236 fib with the support of the 200 moving average and have another go. But just like everything else, we're coming back to retest the support. So it may be, if we break down here again, we're going to retest this 200 moving average again. It's been pretty good support this year. I wouldn't want to see it lost again. So there's our pretty key support, I'm going to say, at 2269 for now. And we can say short time range. Here's our double top here. So I'm thinking this one's going lower. And only if we break 2850 will I get excited about the upside and look for this 236 fib again. Otherwise, this feels like A and a B, and we're going to see a C leg and retest 2284. See what happens there. Maybe lower. Gosh. Okay. Neutral. But we're bunched up flat. You know, these are 4-hour moving averages, so, and they're dead flat. We've been dead flat for quite a while, and when you are dead flat, you really need to break out of your sideways range to get any kind of a decent trend going, and we really haven't got one in BAT Bitcoin at the moment. Let's see BAT dollar. It just makes me, okay, so in basic attention token US dollar, let's go to the weekly because it's easier to see. So we put our fibs on from this high in 18 to the low in 19, rallied to the 38.2, and then when we got back underneath this 236 fib again, it was once again resistance. These fibs are working as really good support and resistance levels. So whilst we stay underneath it, again, having made a ABC correction, we're still in a sideways range with flat daily moving averages, and the risk is we're going to retest the lows. Now normally I would say confirmation of a bearish reversal when you think you've got an ABC is to use the 236 going the other way. So you put it on from this low to this high. There was our 236. As soon as we, so if you were long, as soon as we came back underneath 0.2895, that's our reversal. Looks like we've got further to fall. The 50% might catch us if we're going to keep, but I would say no. More likely back towards 0.185, 186. So no trend. Bearish ABC, looking lower for now in basic attention token. Next one is Algorand. Sorry, I'm staring at the chart so hard trying to find something, but I'm not keeping up with your comments tonight. So there we go. We will do COS. We'll do COS at the end, no problem at all. Hi Heba will do your request. Kevin says if you break the highs like that and BAT US dollar, where do you put the stop? Okay. Let's find a chart here. So trying to find what depends what chart you're in. For me, like I'm looking always on an hourly chart. So say this was the highs that we were trying to break here. So if I bought on a breakout rather than the retest, I would have to have my stop under this swing low, you know. Okay, I covered it with the T36. Good. Okay, I'm going to move on then and look at Algorand, which is here. Our friend. Now, our friend is almost at the first target. This is a really, in terms of, not quite there, but in terms of technical, fib technicals, this is working really well. So we put our fibs on the last 5-wave swing high, which is kind of here from these highs at 8,800. And you know you've drawn them right when the 236 fib gets your reaction. Because sometimes you think, oh, is it this high or is it that high? Or should I put my fibs all the way up, you know, on the high highs? So if you draw it like this and you get the reaction that you're expecting at the 236 fib, for me it validates it. So the 236 fib is like my touchstone. And another way you get to increase your chances, if you've also got some support and resistance around there, that helps. And here we did it perfectly. 236 fib, we had a really deep retrace. So all those ones, you know, where we've reversed, look how far we came. And what level did we say that we normally would look for? We would look for the 786. There. So let's put that on. We didn't quite get back there, did we? How embarrassing. 6218 anyway. So bigger than you probably were expecting when you bounce off this 236 fib. So not only that, but then when we got above it, nice 6-day retrace, found support from the 200 moving average, and up we went. So these are what all of those charts are supposed to do. This is what I'm hoping UBQ that we looked at earlier tonight will do, because it's in this position ready to go. So we're above the 236 fib. I'm looking for this 50% level to be our next target. We've bounced a little bit off this, not quite there yet either. So I'm hoping, and you know, I'm hoping we get to 0.5220 for Algo, next upside target in Algo Tether and in Algo Bitcoin. And then I think we should start tightening up our stops and being a little protective, because we could see a reversal. If we do the same thing here in Algo Bitcoin, and we call this last 5-wave swing lower, and we take them away. We're not quite there, are we? Haven't quite tagged it. 5209. Pretty close though. If I do this one, 5285. Between those two, I think there's the next resistance in Algo. And I'd really like to see it push through, because if we can push through, it will become support, and then we'll look for the 61.8 next, and so on. So let's go like this. So you can see how, look, the 38.2 was textbook. So the 236 fib was textbook. So we can expect a reaction at this 50%. And then if we get above it, the 61.8 and so on. So that's how the fib retrace levels are working really nicely in Algorand. And we're pretty close to a big 50 back. Okay, XTZ is next. This one didn't hit my target. This is quite annoying, to say the least. Okay, we are back at where I think we'll have support though. So I projected from this high to low in this correction, 1.618, and everything all lines up here for my target. So I think we've got further to go to around 4,200 to 4,300 in Tezos Bitcoin. But we've gotten a little bit choppy here. For me, this should be support around 3,200. The daily moving average hasn't quite caught up though. Let's measure the legs on the lower time frame. Yeah, you know, this is potential support here. Trend support. If we're going to stay in a kind of uptrend, we've got, this is the level. If we lose this level, so if we lose 3,198, our next support is these previous highs and the 200 moving average down here at 25.71. So I don't hang on if this support breaks. You know, if you are holding on to your long and hoping, that's where yeah, we're wrong, unfortunately. So a big fall. So just like Bitcoin, just like ETH, just like so many of the coins we looked at tonight, Tezos is also right on a level where we would like to see it start going higher. If we look at this 15-minute, we are getting a reaction here, but it's not out of trouble yet, is it? Hey Nick, what do I think of DX chain? I can have a look at the chart, but I haven't done any fundamental analysis on it. So there you go. Okay, I will take a look though. So Tezos, XTZ, potentially at a support level. If this goes, yeah, it's just like Bitcoin. Time to buy some Tether or look away. Let's see the US dollar chart. Make sure we've got. This looks like one of these funky irregular corrections. I haven't looked at this Coinbase chart for a while. Let me put that 27. Isn't that annoying how we didn't quite tag that level? Okay, so take that away. I'm just going to put this swing for now. 38.2 is there. And then from the lows. Okay. I'm kind of hoping that this is a big wave 3, you know, and this is a funky, irregular, flat correction, and then we'll carry on higher from here. Right here, again, this daily 20 moving average, if we're going to find support, this is where it would be, and around this 38.2 fib here, which remember, in a wave 3, that's where you would normally expect to come back to. So it's a little bit lower, 2.9. So just like everything else, you know, I would say if you were holding it below 2.9, you've got XTZ right at the 236 on Kraken. Let's see, Kraken. Against the dollar. Okay. From the all-time. Yeah, right at that. You're right. It is right there, isn't it? 3.03. You don't really want to close below. You really don't want to close below 3.083, which is the 236 fib from all time lows. That would be your bearish reversal signal. So XTZ, again, right at the level where we need to hold on. So yeah, any lower and I would bug out of this one. Thanks, Crypto at Night. Good eye. Okay. So all-time lows to highs. This is the big 236 fib support. Let's see if we can make a low here and turn it around. I get my Haikanashi beer goggles on and see if we can go green. Okay. XTZ. Link. Let's see Link. I seem to be... Got so many charts on. It's on a go slow. Now Link. This is Link Tether. This is one of those very messy. Let's put regular candles on. This was a very messy top here. We could not close at new highs. Normally when that happens, I usually have the 886 as the back test support. Okay, and so for 6 days we went back and forward. Couldn't make a new high. Couldn't close at a new high in Link. but held this 886 support. And then when we got underneath it, unfortunately, yesterday it becomes resistance, and so we've reversed. We've reversed on this hourly time frame, and we've reversed here. Now, that's the bad news. If this is just going to, let's take those lines away. If this is just going to be an ABC correction, we should be about where we'll find some support. So this is A here, 3.81. And again, you know, it's not a head and shoulders, but this is our previous lows and support. I feel like this is probably going to head lower, that 4-hour 200 moving average. If we put, I don't know where our daily 20 moving average has gone. We'll chuck it back in the mix. You see, for me, if we close underneath this 20 moving average, then we're probably headed back lower. One other way I would say, use that 236 fib again, just this swing. That's what we lost today. From here, we're also below it. From the all-time lows, right on it, aren't we? So below 3.8, we're going to go to 3.14 next. Okay, that's the bad news for Chainlink. So right on, again, level where we should bounce in Link Tether. If we look at Link Bitcoin, let's see, retesting these highs. It's not the be all and end all. We had a lot of projections for Link. This is our first cluster of projections, and this was the second cluster. So this, when we break out, really was our target. Let's go to the weekly and see. We just basically, from each one of these corrective swings, we projected, and that's where everything lined up. That's where we've reversed. So let's hide these for now. Okay, and we're going to just do the fibs on the last swing. We'll say below the 236 fib. This one's done. We'll see where we come back to. That one's done. Okay, so although we're looking at these previous highs for potential support, I'm going to say that 37,493 is better support, and that's where I'm going to look for Link Bitcoin. Now, that's not a hard and fast thing, and there's a couple of things that lean towards this also being, let's take the fibs away. Okay, that previous high, you know, previous highs, first time back, should be support. There's also, if we use candlesticks, 50% of the open close of this big candlestick should also be the Maribosu line support. And so if we mark where that is, you only works on the open close, and you need candles with really long bodies. It doesn't work for smaller ones. 39,695, and so that's also around where we are now. So as long as we don't close below 39,695, potentially, you know, we could find support. But I would say the second level of support is going to be that 236 fib and these previous highs here, 37,400, 37,300. So not quite ready, but I'm open to us making a base and having a bit of a rally. And again, you know, we've got that ABC, haven't we? So Link maybe at a level where we could bounce from. HBAR, how much fun? I'll come back for your COS in a minute. How much fun has HBAR been? Really, I don't know if any of you have been trading it, but we've been trading it in our group, and we've had a lot of fun with this one. Unfortunately, the party's over. We reached the 1272 with this big move, and now, after sadly 5 waves up, we're in a big correction. One of the rules that sometimes applies that says if you have a big extended wave 5, which we've got here, very often retraces all the way back, which potentially puts us all the way back to 182 in HBAR. Definitely, having gone, you know, we just talked about, remember that 50% of the really big long candles can act as support and resistance. Well, let's mark that on here. 50% was 499. Let's mark 499 like this. because we did see a really valiant attempt here. There it is. We did see a really valiant attempt here to hold that 50% level, but it's all failed. And now we're on our way back. For me, underneath this daily 20 moving average points all the way back to the 50 if we close down here. And so not a good time at all for this one. Let's go all the way. See if it's looking at our fib levels at all. Hide those. It does seem to be, doesn't it? So let's take that away as well. So you can see that this 38.2 here was a pretty good support and resistance level. On the daily, you can see that this 50% was as well in HBAR. So it would be reasonable, wouldn't it, to think that we could bounce here from this 61.8, and because of the golden ratio zone, if we rallied beyond this 50%, our target would be here. So we would have a bit of a meaty trade between those two. So potentially add a bounce level here in HBAR at 379. Does it line up with anything else? Interesting. You know, in penny stocks, the opening price on the opening day, it's always a really interesting support and resistance level. And hopefully it'll be the same here because it was this high here. So yeah, there is a pretty good level for a bounce level for Hedera Hashgraph here. And our first target on the upside, if we did bounce, would be 461. So let's go down and see how we're doing. We've literally only just got here, haven't we? Too early to say. What I'd like to see here, if this is going to bounce, is like a double bottom. Pull the moving averages down, something like this. Wait for the retest anyway. I wouldn't buy this blind yet, unless you're feeling very brave or you do it small. Okay? So potentially a good bounce level in HBAR Bitcoin. But I am concerned that we could still fall lower and it's just going to be a bounce back to 461. Okay, next one, Nano, then BNB. Okay, Nano. Engine, hello. Yeah, I look at Engine. Don't mind looking at that. Nano. Now, Nano, big disappointment. Massive disappointment. I think we've done 5 waves up. So now we should be looking for 3 waves back. I was really hoping that our 3 waves back would hold the support of the 200 moving average and rally from here. I got very excited last week, but we couldn't get away with it. We just couldn't launch. Failure to launch is how I see this one. So we just got here and then couldn't get any further. So another leg lower. So this is going to be our A, B, C. Let's see it on the 4 hour and line it up where a bit of a measure. I think this is a bit of a funky there. That's what I think is funky there. So I think this is A, B, and this is C leg. So we've got a little bit lower. 910 is what this is saying for the next support. Does it line up with any retrace levels? $61.8. Hooray. So 905 maybe is our next support in Nano Bitcoin. If we lose 905, we're looking for 827. So let's wait and see what happens there. So Nano Bitcoin 905, and in Nano US dollar, this is really funky. Okay, we'll do the same thing. High to that low. This funky correction here. Ooh, 0.08733 this says. Could be, or if I've measured it right, and I probably haven't, but let's see. If I ignore that spike, then Don't really like ignoring spikes. I think the 50% level of the entire rally in Nano US dollar is a little bit lower, 0.858149, and I would probably wait for that level before I jumped in. That's Kraken prices. Let's see if there's any other Nano. Yeah, that's where I would be. Let's see if we can see Tether. Where's that 50% back? So we'll be on it at Binance, Tether. Look how the 200 moving average and the 618 line up. See how we tried to hold this 50% here. Now we've lost it today. If we close under 0.9061, then we're going to look for the 200 moving average and 0.832 next. So not quite there yet, a little bit further to fall. Nano Tether as well, 0.8321 would be where I was looking. So nearly there, not quite. Matic. No, that's not Matic. BNB. So, of course, Binance have had some pretty bad news. Well, there's a lot of FUD around, isn't there, about Binance and the regulators changing in Malta, and so they're not regulating Binance after all. We have reached, though, in BNB US dollar Tether terms, this 38.2 fib and these previous highs here, they were looking like, to me, like we could do some business here. And I was liking how we were making a bit of a base, closed above the 20 moving average, but we're all the way back at the lows. Below 21.43, we will see another leg lower in this to the 50 moving average, and that's where our support will come next. And the next place, and also a very likely place for a bullish reversal. So if we're going to get one, 19.65 then, if 21.43 closes. At the moment, just like everything else in crypto, we are teetering right on this support, and it may not break, but if we do, we know where we're going in BNB US dollar Tether. I'm going to tell you something. I think that the government in Malta are pretty corrupt. I don't even know how they got in the EU, but they did. Anyway, the previous government in Malta were pretty dodgy, and Binance probably got quite a lot of business done paying bribes, because that's how you do it in Malta. But I think now that they have a new government, they've probably been quite careful. I don't think that this was necessarily Binance's fault, and this may have been much more to do about who the government is in Malta. So, you know, if BNB come along and do a deal somewhere else, then let's see. You know, all these people, a lot of people I know have taken money out of Binance because of it. I would say it's a really bad idea to have all of your assets or your entire trading capital in one exchange. A really bad idea. And James and I have both learnt the hard way that you can lose your entire account by doing that. And then the next day you have nothing to trade and no way to earn an income. So just don't do it. Just don't have everything in one place, because if they break, get hacked, whatever, you will have lost everything, and you might want to keep something. So that's my advice. And, you know, if you're really liking one platform over another, it's very easy to get sucked into thinking it's all safe. You know, you could also put a whole lot in a cold wallet and just trade at one exchange on leverage based on, you know, what you've got in your cold wallet. That's another way to do it. But I would say just don't keep everything in one place. It's just not safe. Okay, that's my lecture over. Let's look at BNB Bitcoin before we go and move on. I know I'm ranting on. I just knowing what they're like in Malta, I just don't think it's all necessarily Binance's fault. That's all. Okay, and I have no affiliation with Binance. They don't pay me to say that. I'm just saying. So, okay. Well, this has been pretty messy. In BNB Bitcoin, if we look out at the weekly view, here we are. with a very respectable bounce following a bit of a swing failure pattern down here at our 61.8 retrace level. The problem with a 61.8 retrace level is if you want to get to the top of the golden ratio zone, you have to go past that 50% pivot level in the middle. And if we look at the weekly chart, it's really clear. We couldn't close above it and we couldn't get it done. And so we're still in this sideways range, building a base in Binance Coin Bitcoin in between 24,000 and 18,500. So flat moving averages, no range. And so I know it looks like we had a little bit of a breakout here, but on the weekly you can see it quite clearly. We couldn't close above our level. So we risk, you know, coming all the way back. Let's see how far back we've come and where we might find a support from the lows to the highs. We are not yet at the 50%. We're not yet at the 200 moving average. We're holding for the last couple of days underneath the daily 20. So I'm going to say Binance Coin against Bitcoin still looks lower. And I would say still going lower. So this 4 hour looks like a bear flag, doesn't it? And it looks like it's just breaking. So new lows would mean 21,875. Not a good place to buy yet. Okay. Binance Coin is done. Matic. Matic is a cruel mistress. Honestly, anybody who looks at this chart with this nasty, nasty fall and still wants to go back in, good on you. I think we are building a base here in Matic. And, you know, let's talk about those simple fib rules again. I've drawn my fibs from this low to this high. We're trying to make a 786 fib reversal here, because that would give us a target of back to the 38.2. The problem is that we can't get there unless we close above the 61.8, because it's like a staircase of support and resistance, these fib levels. That's how it works. So if we get a nice long entry here, our first target is going to be back to 268. And if we can't get above 268, we're still in the sideways range and we're not going anywhere. So that's where we're looking on a move up. Now, we could, I suppose, just doesn't look like we're ready to go, does it? We're just going sideways. 61.8 here in the middle is where we're stuck, so that 236 should be support. There we are. Okay. 208, if we're going to make an inverted head and shoulders pattern here, 208 and these 4 hour moving averages should be support. Back below 208, I'm going to say, here's death on a stick. Look. That would be our flag breakdown. So 208 support, and below there, back to the bottom of the range, back to 185. And see what happens there, you know. There isn't a trend at the moment in Matic yet. Now, if we bounce here and you wake up and you miss it, we'll call our neckline here. I think it's at 230, around 230, wasn't it? Above 230, that would be a nice inverted head and shoulders pattern, and we could look for 268 again. That's what I'd be looking for in Matic. Excuse my dog drinking really loudly. She hasn't had an appearance tonight, so here it is. Okay, Atom is next. So look for 208 to be support. Not sure if we're going to do it yet, but let's see. So Cosmos got a similar thing going on here. I'm going to take that away. Similar thing going on. Okay, I've drawn my fib from this high and not the all-time high in Cosmos Bitcoin at Binance. And the reason why is I always look for the 236 to have a reaction, and then I know if I've drawn it right. So here we had pretty good support and resistance as well. And we had a really good reaction at the 236 fib. So I'm going to stick with these fibs. And they did work pretty well. And when we got up here, when we got to the 50, we had a bit of a knockback and then it was support. So this 50 has become a bit of a pivot. And here we had a messy top at the 61.8. So we've gone from the 61.8 to the 38.2 in our golden ratio zone. We rallied back to the middle to the 50% and couldn't get above it. So we're back at the lows. Now, if these lows break, we're going to see another swing lower to 3392. So we're right again on potential support. And when we rally, we're going to look for us to go back. If we can rally from here, we're going to look for us to go back to this 50% level, 5179. Then if we did it here, we would have an inverted head and shoulders pattern at those lows. And then that would be bullish above 5179. Then we can get excited. Okay. 5978 and then up here to 7,115 next. So that's how I would be seeing Cosmos. We could also draw it in a little channel like this. Here's our channel. We'll be looking for a channel breakout. That would be a good early warning. But if we head lower, then I'm afraid 3392 if this level breaks. So keep an eye on a lower time frame, see if we can find some support here at 4380. Everything is right on that level, isn't it? Is it going to go or is it going to break? Who knows? Okay. The next one we'll look at is a request for AGN, which is Origin Protocol. Let's head back to the daily on this one. And fix these fib levels. Here we go. So this one is doing very nicely. Let's see. This was a bit of a messy 50% pullback, wasn't it? It did hold though, and then we rallied 50%, and then we came back to the lows. So I think it's fair to say that we haven't really got much of a trend in Origin Protocol at the moment, and we're kind of going sideways in the middle. If we take the when you see this one, see how high this spike is? I really don't like to put fibs on top of a spike like that. So when I'm drawing them, I also use this level from this high to low. I sometimes do them on the spike. So if we say that this is our range, and then we pung this on. Just make sure I've got this right. Anyway, that's another way that you can draw the fib levels if you like. However, really we're kind of making a bit of a wedge or a triangle pattern here, aren't we? Here's our lows, here's our highs. I think that this might be a bit steep, but so far we're respecting it. So a breakout of this wedge will give us the next direction. We've got 3 touches on the top side, so that's valid, and we've got 3 touches on the bottom. A little bit of an overthrow here, but we'll allow it, okay? We haven't quite actually got one on the bottom. So we're looking for a retest of the bottom of the wedge. One of the rules, if you don't use fibs or anything else, is if you take the widest swing at the start of a triangle, and you break out, you project it from the breakdown point, which would send us back to the lows. But that also works if we break out to the upside. So what I don't like is triangles who trade all the way into the apex. For example, when you draw a triangle, you kind of like to see it break out somewhere like sort of 2/3 along. If you trade all the way into the narrowest little point, you know, and get smaller and smaller, it kind of loses its predictive powers. But one thing we can say is Origin Protocol is coiling up. No trend. It's doing what Bitcoin's doing. If Bitcoin heads lower, Origin Protocol will. It's just going sideways at the moment. So no reason for me to buy this yet. Let's see if this is not a wedge and a a big ABC correction or a bigger ABC correction. If that was our first leg, and then we went ABC here, funky, then look, a retest of the lows at 26.54 would be our first target, and then 19.40 would be where we would look if we would break. That would be another way to do that. So no reason to buy this one yet, but watch for support at 26.54 in OGN, and then OXT. Somebody asked for OXT. This is OXT US dollar at Coinbase. From the highs to the lows, we stalled at the 236 fib. So still in a downtrend in Fibonacci terms, and at risk of testing these lows, or almost retesting these lows. If I draw a trend line through these two, we would look for this, a third touch false break here. And if I measure from this high to this low and project, that also gives us almost back to the lows. 2222. Having lost this support level would be where I'm looking. We haven't quite lost it, but it looks pretty grim, doesn't it? Below 0.2560, look for 2222. Otherwise, this is maybe support. I'm not very confident in it, but it's maybe support. So not yet for OXT. Okay, I'm going to do some requests now, and I know one of them, the first one was COS, so I'll go back and find that one, and then we'll work through COS. An engine, I know that was one of them. Contentos. This one, I thought we had a lovely breakout going on here. We have made a new high, but this choppy overlapping pullback is very depressing in line with everything else in crypto. I put my fibs on this big swing here. Maybe we should be looking lower for a lower target. But the thing is, if this did line up with the 200 moving average, so with the bullish cross of these daily moving averages, you know, that's quite a reasonable target up there. So if we're going to rely on our daily moving averages, we've got a bullish cross, we pull back, found support. So as long as we don't lose this 20 moving average, which is our best friend, we should look for support here and to carry on higher. The 20 moving average, let's see where that is, 993. So 993 is where our support is. Now, Contentos. Let's see if we can make a nice ABC correction here and hold 993. That would be very nice. High to low. A little bit lower. 1003. So between 1003 and 993, I would be looking for Contentos to find trend support and carry on higher. And below there, I would begin to get a bit concerned about the trend. I wouldn't want to see this really back below the 20 moving average. So between 993 and 1003 for Contentos US dollar tether. If we look at it against Bitcoin, ta-da, same thing. We're going to do A, B, C, because we had a nice breakout in this one. ABC correction, a little bit lower, 105. And we'll go to the daily. See, one of the reasons I really liked this was this inverted head and shoulders pattern. So this, if you like, ABC correction and this back test of the neckline, this is a kind of about as far back as you want to go. You really don't want to close below that support level. So keep a tight eye on this. This is back at the moment, back testing the neckline. And below 105, I would abandon this support. So Contentos, had high hopes for this one. Oh well. So the target, if we can hold this support line, so you know, when you have an inverted head and shoulders pattern, you expect to go twice the distance from the head to the neckline, which would be a little bit lower like that, wouldn't it? Okay, and that gives us the 236 fib in this one from all the way up at the highs, and it also puts us back to this low. So it's a really good target. Everything is lined up in Contentos for this to be, you know, a really nice trade if we can hold this neckline on the back test. And so here we are looking for, this is like the place now for Contentos to rally from. Fingers crossed. I'm hoping to see this up when I wake up in the morning. Okay, let's see where we are looking for next. Waves, Hi Connor, and Neo, and we've looked at HBAR, so that's okay. We've looked at COS, good. Okay. Waves then. Here we go. So this is, we'll start with Waves Bitcoin. Big fat ABC in this one. I'm hoping it's not a big ABC because that would be an equal measured move and bearish. Let's measure it like this. But unfortunately, even if I draw it correctly, it is almost to the tick an ABC equal measured move. So for me, if we lose this 1379 level, that would be a bearish reversal. So I don't want to see a close below 1379. And I'd like to see support here and then rally back above this equal measured move level and rally back above this 236 fib and break the bearish symmetry. So we really are with Waves Bitcoin, again, right at the level where if we're going to find support, we are here, almost here. So this isn't a bearish reversal yet, but I wouldn't want to let it turn into one, okay? So just might take a couple of days and a few more candles, and we'll let this 20 moving average carry on and catch us up here. That would be a nice setup and look. But yeah, so waves, I haven't given up on it yet. So far, this is just sideways consolidation at the highs. Let's see if we can rally. Where would I put my alarm for this? Let's see. I might put it here. Waves, when it moves, it really moves. There, we'll put an alert on, see if it can rally. So waves, I'm optimistic. Below 1370, I'm going to get a bit concerned though. I'd really like to see it not close below there. Okay, next one we're going to look at is, hope that helps with Waves Bitcoin. Don't give up yet, Connor. Neo this morning, they were all perched on support. This is how you can describe. So Dash, look, perched on this horizontal support. And Neo was pretty similar, except Neo, in dollar anyway, dropped a little bit. Let's put regular candles on our daily. I have to say I'm a little bit bearish Neo here, for a couple of reasons. When I measure from the low in December 2018 to this high, and I project it from here, this was the 61.8 level that we hit. And then if I do it from here as well, like this, low, high, project it from there. It's not quite, it's a 1272, so there's a lot of confluence here. If I put fib retracers on, let's see where we've retraced from, because that will help us where we might find support. It's very messy, 61.8, but what we did do is try valiantly to hold this 50% here, didn't we? So I think that it's a pretty good bet from here. We're going to drop down to the 38.2, and we'll do that at least and do that golden ratio thing. And we might overshoot like we did up here. If we put the fibs the other way, let's see. Gosh, 886. Okay, it's not really. So that would be 50% of this swing. So that would be quite reasonable because it looks like we've gone beyond the 38.2 here, doesn't it? So I'm going to stick with 12.2 to 12.25 and the daily 50 moving average. That's where our support is next in Neo US dollar. But I would want to see a really spectacular bullish reversal here, just because I feel like we may have completed a bigger correction and have further to fall. So that's my view of Neo US dollar. Let's see if it's better in Neo Bitcoin. Sometimes. Same pattern. So from this high to low, 38.2, 61.8 of this first swing. Yeah. We are going to have to look to this 236 fib, I think, probably. Let's do... No, a little bit higher. 1329 would be the daily 50 moving average. No, a little bit lower. 1324. Daily 50 moving average in the 236 fib. We did try and hold this 236 fib, but the 38.2 is here. But I have to say that I think probably it's going to be all the way back to this 200 moving average, which is down at the 618 level at 1135. So watch and see if we can bounce here in Neo Bitcoin at 1324, but otherwise further to fall to 1135 if that doesn't hold. Yikes. As soon as you lose the 20 moving average like that, you know, your short-term uptrend is over. So, and back to the 50 is almost always where you go next when you lose a 20 moving average. Okay, we've looked at COS, we haven't looked at Siacoin, and then we're going to look at silver and gold. So Siacoin and then silver and gold. Now, I'm going to say, why did we stop here? Why? What's here? Like, okay, I'm putting the fibs on from this high to this low. And the main reason is, remember, the 236 fib tells you whether you've drawn it right. If you get a reaction at the 236 fib, then the market's probably looking at this swing as well. Okay, so we had a very nasty reaction at this 236 fib and made a double bottom, and we've gotten to the 38.2 and again had a very nasty reaction. So you kind of have to play this level to level. I'm not feeling super bullish Siacoin. Let's see the weekly and where we are. Gosh, that weekly 50 moving average too. Now, if we are going to find some support, because very often in this, between the 20 and the 50, you can bounce back and forward. So the 20 is at 23. 23 is also where we've got our 50 and 200 moving average. So I think that this is most likely where we're going to come back to. And so I would wait and see what happens there. I wouldn't be holding a bag of this. That's my bearish view. Now, sometimes these previous lows, the previous wave 4 and 50% back are support. So if I'm wrong, we're going to rally here. This is the low. Okay, at 27. And if I'm wrong, we're going to continue falling to, I've got these on the wrong level here. We're going to continue falling to 24 or 23. So that's where I'd be watching for. But 27 potentially could see a bounce. There's just no price action here to say we want to, does there? Nothing. 15 minute. Not yet. So maybe support here at 27. Otherwise look for 24 or 23 next in Siacoin. Don't hold on. Wait and see. Now, obviously you can't, how are you going to know it's all very well to say, you know, see if we hold on or go green. Let's take all these fibs away. How are you going to know Siacoin is rallying from here and going up? Well, this is an hourly chart, okay? If we get above these hourly moving averages, or if we take out this previous high at 31, that would be a good buy entry. That would at least tell you that it's moving up or we've reversed the trend. If we use the fibs and if we use the 236 fib here, then a close above 29, okay, that and this hourly 20 moving average, that would be a bullish sign as well for Siacoin. So look for a close above 29 and a close above 31 to confirm that we're in the next leg up in Siacoin. That's what I'd be looking for. Otherwise, the risk is we continue lower. Okay. Silver and gold. Okay, silver and gold. 1 second. Just get my chart up of silver and gold. Okay, now if this silver and this gold was a really good, you know, leading indicator for the fall in stocks. Let's look at the gold chart, regular candles. Because the fall in stocks really only happened 3 days ago, but this gold breakout above this big 61.8 level happened 5 days ago. So this was a good early warning. So if stocks are going to find a base soon and not fall too much further, a reversal in gold would tell us. Do I think that that's going to happen? No, I actually don't, because I'm going to go to the weekly chart of gold, and we're going to look at these big fib levels from the highs in 2011 to the lows in 2015. Okay, we went sideways. We had a nice reaction at the 38.2. Okay, we went sideways at the 50%. We stalled for 6 weeks at the 61.8, and now we're above it. Our next target is up here at 1733, and we're not there yet, and that's where we're at 2.618 of this correction as well, if I've drawn it right, and if not a little bit higher. So I'll leave that off for now. So we are a little bit overbought, but not a reversal yet. Let's go to the 4 hour. How far back are we likely to come? This is the question. Well, okay, if we count this. Hold on, I'm going to do this. No, it's not that one. Wait, okay. So I think this is wave 1, 2, 3. This is a 4, and we're going to see a 5th wave to continue higher from here. And if that's the case, then this swing should have a relationship to this one, like this. I just want to make sure I've done it right. 3.618, 4. There it is, 4.236. Okay, good. So that agrees. And then 38.2 of this swing. So we're going to look from this low to this high, because we're looking for 38.2 of this wave 3. Gives us 1640. If we close below 1659, this is spot prices, not futures. So here we are sitting on 1659, which is potential support. But if we fall a little bit lower, I would look for 1640 to be major support. So let's see how we're looking at this level. Just a little bit not sure, aren't we? Yeah. Gold loves to, I can tell you, there's no other market like gold for tricking you that it's going to go the wrong way or that it's broken down. Nothing like it on earth. The market makers are horrible. So I'm not bearish gold yet. I see this as a big pullback in a big uptrend. But even if we go from this yearly, if we go from this year low to highs, in other words, the 2020, rather than from the low lows, if we go from the 2020 low to highs. We haven't broken that 236 fib. So for me, we're still in a solid uptrend. 1653. It's really good support here. So I'm going to say hang on and wait and see if it holds for a bounce. And if it doesn't, 1635 would be where I would buy it back again. So I guess it depends whether you think stocks have got further to fall. And a lot is going to depend on where we close. Let's take a look at some indexes. It's amazing how important the yearly open closes for kind of program trading. And our yearly open close, we're all set at the moment. Although it looks like we're holding these previous lows, we're going to close at, down on the year here. And I think we might see some follow through if we do that. If I also, I'm going to go from fibs from down here. Got a long way till we get to the fib support from this swing. If we say just 2020, which would be from this low, then here, because this is our, no, this is actually December, isn't it? Where's our January low? There it is. Oh, from the January low, we're at a 786 fib. If you had to say the S&P's favorite fib, it's the 786 fib. So if we close above this here, I could see this bounce all the way back to this 38.2 and try and fill the gap. And that would be quite something. And that would suggest that we'll see another leg lower in gold. So watch what happens in these stock indexes. They're all at maybe potential bounce levels. Certainly this 786 fib from there. And if we take this whole swing like this, where are we going to do it from here? 5 waves there. That's 5 waves like there, isn't it? Look, there's that T36, 3250. Yeah. This is a very big down day. After a very big down day like this, the most common thing that we would see next is either a small inside bar or continuation lower, one of those two things. If we hold this level and we see a small inside bar, look for a big rally back up again in stocks, and that would mean another leg lower for gold. That's what I'd be watching for. Okay, thanks for coming, everybody. See you next Monday. I apologize I wasn't here last week. I will be here next week. I am thinking about going live on TradingView instead of live on YouTube. If anybody's got any thoughts on that, send me a message. We'll see how that would work, and we'll do some more regular ones. Okay.